Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do a sign that's a countdown for days until Christmas. And some of the things that you're going to need are some batting. I'm using a chalkboard marker. I also use one of these Pentel gel rollers for fabric, which I really like. And this is a permanent chalkboard marker. Then I've got some prefused green, red, little things. And I'll be honest with you, I used my cutting machine to cut some of these stuff out, but you can do this without that. And what you're going to, and some chalkboard fabric. So what our goal is, and I want to show you what you're going to do. Oh, and you also need a piece of just white or muslin. And these are about 12 by 12, 12 and a half by 12 and a half. And then I've got one of those canvas frames that I got from a box store that were on sale. So my goal is, I'm going to walk you through some of this. So what you're going to do is you are going to take your chalkboard marker thing, and then you're going to make a little sign like this. Is the cutout of the sign, and then do some like circles, and those are pretty easy to do. And then you're going to do some holly leaf shapes. All right, and I did 3 on each side, but you can do, I will tell you that I used my cutting machine to do this. You can find stuff on cutting machines. My caution to that is, if you're doing really small stuff, those cutting machines cutting fabric is not, it's more fussiness than it's worth. Okay, so the first thing we want to do to get this kind of ready for the our background is we do want to take some, and I'm just using a paper-backed fusible on red and green fabric. So I've already glued this stuff down, and I know I've already used a professional cutter to do it, but I'm going to show you how you can do it without one. So the goal is to have, you know, some holly leaves up here kind of framing a circle, and then some berries, and then a little banner down here so that we can write in how many days we have left till Christmas. Now, I want to show you how easy holly leaves. One, you can draw a circle. So on your paperback thing, just draw some little circles, and I'm using a pen that doesn't seem to work. So let me switch to a pencil. So you're going to draw a circle, you're going to draw some circles, and they don't have to be perfect, people. They're berries, right? So just draw some circles. So that's your first step. Now look at this. This is how easy a banner is to do. Now, it doesn't matter how big this is. You want to give yourself room when you're making this. So think about, this can't be smaller than, you know, the 1/4 inch inside. And we can look at, I don't even know how I cut it because I didn't measure, I just cut. So it's about 4.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So if you're a precision person, and literally I eyeballed this, you guys know me. All right, so to make this banner, I just want you to see how easy this is. You are going to, and it needs to be smaller than 4.5 inches. You're going to draw a curved line. Okay, so once you've drawn this curved line, that you're going to move over about 1.5 inches, and you're going to parallel that line with another curved line. Okay, do you see that? All right, so to make this little loop, you're just going to do an indent and a little bump indent, and that's your banner. That's it. Cut on that line. That's it. And then the next thing, to do holly leaves. Okay, so to draw holly leaves, notice how holly leaves are. They're just bumps, and they're just little quick curves. So to draw a holly leaf, you're going to go 1 bump, 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 and that's a holly leaf. Do you see how I did it? So it's just a little, it's a little dip up, another one, and another one. And then I go back. You can do it the other way, but I go back and I do a bump, bump, bump. That's a holly leaf. And just do 6 of those. Right? And they don't have to be big. Now, I will say I love my cutter and I use it a lot. That being said, sometimes when I cut small, really small stuff, it can be fussy. And I almost can cut smaller stuff by myself easier than that cutter can. All right, so you're going to do those. Okay, the next step is to cut those out, and I don't have really small scissors. I prefer smaller scissors. So I'm going to cut this out. And you know what, you could almost cut this without having the lines drawn. But when you do applique, you're going to cut it on the line. And if you want to do really, you know, precision applique, you need to take my machine applique class. So that's online and you can find that. Then you're going to take the paper back off, right? This one was peeling up, so it was really easy to do. If it's not peeling up, you're going to... Now, I found it was easier, and I used one of these Pentel pens. I found it's easier to write Christmas on here before I glued it down. But it doesn't matter if you glue it down first. And you're just going to iron it down. Now, just so that you know, heat and this chalkboard fabric will give it a really slick look. And you can tell where heat's been applied. So I try to protect it with another fabric over top of it. But just so you know, it'll get a shiny look to it. There's nothing wrong with it. It just has a shiny look to it. It doesn't have this dullness to it. So you're going to use your Pentel gel roller pen, and you are just going to write Christmas on here. Now, I really like it when people use their own handwriting, so don't be, you know, intimidated that I have to use, or it has to look perfect. No, it's yours. Okay, so to cut out my holly leaves, notice, and I think I've shown you this before, I am moving the fabric. I am not moving my hand or my scissors. See, notice. My hand and my scissors don't move. The only thing that my scissors are moving is if I am needing to move the blade. And also notice this. When I'm doing this, I am cutting. Oh, and that came off really easy too, so yay us. Okay, now you can cut a line out of the middle. You don't have to do that. I think that looks cute like that, actually. Notice when I'm doing this too, I am not using the tip of my blade. This is a pretty long pair of scissors. I'm using the middle part of my blade. So when you're cutting, you want to cut that. And notice, see my fabric's moving, not my hand. I am protecting my wrist with the carpal tunnel stuff. And it allows me to just slowly cut on that line. See? Look how cute those are. So again, you don't have to use, and then to cut out the circles, you're just going to, again, just kind of cut a circle. These are berries. Berries don't have to be perfectly round. They can just be a circle. And again, that's pretty small. Hopefully that, yeah, this stuff comes up pretty easily. If it doesn't, use a little pin to score it. So I'm going to cut those out and then put 3 of those, and then you'll notice it'll look like... So I'm going to continue doing this, and then I will iron these on, and you can see what it looks like. I think I'm only going to do 3 of these, because I think that'll look good. Well, this is kind of in my way. All right, that's kind of a smash berry. Nobody's going to care. All right, so let me cut out one more holly leaf. And then we'll... Oh, we do need 6 holly leaves. I think those will look better. And then I need to get my iron. We're going to iron this on. Oh, see, that came off. Yay, me. Notice I'm always moving the fabric. I'm not moving my wrist. Because if I move my wrist, I'm telling you, it starts hurting. I think 2 on this one will look good because those are kind of big. All right, so let's do this. And then we'll do, let me take off that. The back of that. Okay, so I'm going to, and remember, you want to make sure you're kind of leaving a 1/4 of an inch around here so it's going to kind of look crowded, but it won't be. All right, so I'm going to go get my iron and another piece of cloth so I can iron it down. Okay, so I'm back. So what I want to do is I want to iron this down really quick because I want this to be ironed down before I start writing on it. So I'm going to use another piece of cloth. Make sure that you've taken all the paper off and that you've also put it glue side down because, and you want a hot iron and you don't want to leave it on very long. You definitely want to, see, and that's why. Yes. All right. I want those I want these curved a little. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Oops, I didn't get that part. This iron was hot when I brought it in here, but I did unplug it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now see how it gets that kind of look? See, that's kind of normal. So don't be freaked out that it doesn't do that. Okay, now you'll also notice that it's hot, number 1. But you'll also notice that the stiffness of the the chalkboard thing is, the stiffness is, it relaxes it. The heat relaxes it. All right, so now that this is down, you can do it either way. I usually do it before, but I just wanted you to see. So anytime you're writing something or using a font, sometimes it's good to just kind of in your mind, think about what starts and where it ends. So a lot of times what calligraphers will say is that when you draw your first letter, then you draw your last letter and you kind of work backwards in. I've done it for a long enough time, I can kind of space it myself. But if you want to do that, and I want to take up the whole space, so I make sure, and this is just a really simple font where I'm just doing really tall letters. But I'm going to use my letters where they're going to go kind of with the curve, right? So this S is going to be, and this is going to say Christmas, by the way. Right? All right, so I know that that S is going to curve out a little. So this is where you also kind of want to know what goes in the middle. Your M's going to take up more room just because M's are kind of big. So it's CHRISTMA. So I've got my S on here, I've got this. So I need to do the H over here. So I kind of go, if you're doing it this way, you kind of want to go back and forth. Just kind of make sure you're giving yourself room. Kind of think ahead a little of how, so this is going to be a skinny edge. I'm not going to let it take up a lot of room. And look, if I make that cross on the edge, if I make it a little high, it just gives it a little character, right? CHR, and then or A is going to go next to this S. Now I'm going to try to conserve space with my A, so I'm going to, but remember it's kind of on this curve. Because I've done a high cross bend here, if I do a high cross bend here, I think it also gives it character. Okay. And now my R is going to go over here, and I'm keeping them tight, close together. And this is one way to do it. You don't have to do it this way. R. And then here's the big one. The M is difficult sometimes because M's want to take up a lot of room. And it's on a kind of curve, or it is on mine. It doesn't have to be on yours. You'll save yourself a little, and I'm going to keep my little bumps on my M really close to the top just to kind of mimic that look, right? Right, so CHR, and then the I is going to be really small. And then all I have is the S and the T, and I've got room, so that's good. So I'm going to go on and put my S in because it's going to be the widest of the two. So, and I'm going to do similar S as I did there, so the, you know, the, and then the T. And that is how you fill in a space without necessarily, you know, feeling like you have to do it a certain way. So you notice I just did it back, one here, one here. Now, if you can't spell, that doesn't help, right? So the next one I want to do, just to kind of have this, is I want days over here and until over here. But I want until in like really kind of a small little, maybe even lowercase little font, because I'm going to give more room for my days, because I'm going to write that in script. Now this is one of those permanent chalk markers, and this is just me changing up. So U-N-T-I-L. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Okay, just kind of quick and easy. And then I want to do days. Days is bigger because it's more important to me. And I'm just going to do days in my normal kind of handwriting, and that gives me then there's no pressure on you, and you can do this, you can mimic somebody's script. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm just going over it because this marker kind of likes that if I do that, and I can make that bigger. All right, so that's days until. There you go. How easy is that? So that's how you do the little sign. And then our next step is we're going to take our piece of fabric, and we're going to take our, not this piece of fabric, sorry, wrong piece of fabric. We're going to take our fabric with the batting on top of it, and we're just going to place this on there. And then we're going to sew all of the little sew and flip method. We're going to take fabric. I want a small piece of fabric, and literally, y'all, this is what I do. I'm like, oh, that looks big enough. So I'm going to take this piece of fabric, I'm going to place it down right sides together, and I'm going to sew and then flip it over. And I'm going to continue doing that until I cover the whole thing. All right, so get that done, and we'll be right back. Okay, for this next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some thread. And again, Pam and I have this nifty Christmas thread bundle. And the reason I like it is it's just all the basic kind of Christmassy type colors. You're going to have a couple of greens, a pink and a red, and then some white, and this really cool kind of silver metallic. So I'm going to use all of these because I can, and because they're fun and all that good stuff. So, I'm going to go in and thread up my let's see, I'm going to start with maybe the pink. That'll be kind of cool. So I'm going to go and thread up my sewing machine, because that's what you thread, is your sewing machine. And we'll talk about what I'm going to do. Okay, so what I've done is I've put the pink thread in my sewing machine, and I've chosen just a really kind of fun little specialty stitch. And I'm just going to take that specialty stitch, and I'm literally going to stitch it from the edge of my stuff all the way across. And I'm not following a line. I'm not going to follow a seam or anything. I just want to add this stitch all the way across. So, and the thing with adding specialty stitches, just so you know, is what you want to do is you want to let the machine do the work. So do not feel like you're pulling or pushing this. You let the machine, because it's going back and forth. So if you just let the machine do it, it's going to be happier. And so literally I almost just take my hands away from it and let the machine pull it through. And I never sew too quickly when I'm doing one, just because if you go too fast, the machine doesn't want to keep up, or it tries to rush it, and it doesn't give it enough time to complete the stitch. So you'll kind of find a sweet spot with your own machine to let the machine complete the stitch. And if you've never seen the stitch before, you may want to just stitch it out on a test thing, just so that you can see what it looks like. And I don't mind it crossing over several different things. Like, I just think that's kind of fun, and the specialty of it. Now, because I've got a batting and a backing on here already, what I'm really doing is I'm allowing these specialty stitches to stitch out, and in doing so, it's quilting this little project for me. So I'm not going to quilt it any other way except for these specialty stitches. Now, what I normally do is I take one thread and one specialty stitch, and I will do that thread color in that specialty stitch once, but I will change my specialty stitch. I'll use the same thread color with like 2 other specialty stitches. So that kind of establishes that thread and that color, but it's using different stitches in it. And if you do not have a machine with all these fancy specialty stitches, don't worry about it. Use a zigzag stitch. Use, what you can do is you can just like stitch a straight stitch on the line of each one of these in different colors. There's nothing wrong with that. Or you could literally, just quilt it like you would with any other color. I like the addition of different thread colors. I think it's fun. I think it adds interest, and it's just going to add another level to what this little piece is going to be about. So I'm just going to start doing that. So what I'll probably do is I'll just put this on fast forward so you can see this be completed. Well, isn't that cute? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same thread and I'm going to change my specialty stitch to something different. Let's see what else I can do. I have so many choices. Oh, this one might be cute. Okay, that's all the stitching I think I'm going to add to this because I just think it's getting crowded. So if you notice, I did 4 different colors and I did them 3 different times, and just kept changing my stitches to fit it. And of course you can cross over. There's no reason why you can't cross over stuff, and I just think it adds interest and I kind of like it. So there it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the other table and we're going to finish this up. All right, so just to show you, we've gotten everything done. So I did a bunch of stitches. And you can see this metallic, which is in our bundle. The metallic thread is really just, I just love it. I think it's kind of cool. So I didn't do all of the threads. I didn't do both greens or the white. I didn't do the lightest green or the white. And it's because it got crowded. So I figured once it started getting kind of more crowded, I didn't need to add more. You, of course, could. You could do whatever you want. But I thought it looked good where it was, so I stopped. Which is how I do a lot of things, just FYI. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and this is what I'm trying to figure out right now, so I'm going to center kind of where I think this is going to be, and then of course we're going to pull this over and staple this on the back of it, on the rim of this. I've got an electric stapler, which let's just say I'm okay at using. I'm not great at using. The last time I pressed it, it stapled like 4 at a time. So we'll see how this goes. But so that's the goal. And I think Pam's already shown you how to do this in another video. So we're just going to staple that around. And then we're going to have this cute little sign that'll have however many days till Christmas. Okay. So I'm going to do that. And we'll see how this works. once you get the 4 sides done, then it's just a matter of adding the rest of the staples kind of thing. So oh, I think I'm out of staples, so let me refill that. I'm going to unplug it because that makes me feel better. So let me fill those up and then we'll be right back. Are you in my trash can? Where did we put the staples? I think these staples are too big. I think that's part of my problem. Staples are too big. Okay, the way I'm going to handle these corners is I'm just going to kind of fold it to where that looks kind of, you know, tuck it like that to where that looks kind of smooth. I know it's going to have a fold there, but I think that'll work. And just staple that. Same thing here. Let's see, let's fold that. There we go. That I think looks good. All right, one more corner, and then I'm going to trim all this away. Oh, I need to restaple. That didn't go in. I don't think that's going in well. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so there we are after all the stapling's done. The last thing we're going to do is we're just going to trim that away. But you can see how cute that's going to look. And then I can just write in there that there's, 5 days to Christmas or however many days left. So anyway, this is just a cute little idea and thought you guys would enjoy it. And we'll be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.